What's going on, guys? My name is Zach7365, and you can just call me Zach. And as you can see in the title, we are going to be talking about something a little bit different besides speedroids. Predaplants. Why do I keep playing all these Arc V decks? So this deck's actually really fun. I've only had it probably about a week or two to theory craft. But yeah, I was able to get all the cards at the sneak peek at my local OTS store. Shoutouts to everybody there. Glad I got to pick up the deck and play it today. We did go X2 with it, but that might just be due to the build. It could be due to not seeing the lines, or it could just be variance, because one match was purely decided by Mystic Mine, I think twice. He didn't even see a Prank Kid. It was just a Venture DPE. And we, mine. Yep, mine. DPE. And then the other one was a Branded Despia matchup, and I just bricked really bad game 3. After a really good game 2, though. Like, the back and forth between this and, like, the Despia stuff is... but yeah, let's hop into it. We'll go over this, the build. I'll talk through, like, why I'm playing certain things. Big shout-outs to all the people who I've seen the videos of, like, from the past 4 months. Exordo, Dual Evolution, even, like, some of the Branded Despia players have taken some inspiration from them regarding, like, side deck, for example, some main deck techs, just what they're doing. And yeah, we'll go over the thoughts of the deck as well. All right, without further ado, let's hop into the deck profile. All right, getting into our first monster, we have, of course, 3 copies of Orphis Scorpio. If you don't know what this card does, on normal or special summon, you get to discard a monster and then special summon another Predaplant from the deck. Your usual target is going to be Cobra, but within the actual archetype for this card, there are a couple cute little things you can bring out. We have Ceraceliant, which lets you search any Predaplant card. You have Sundew, which lets you fusion summon from either hand or field, as long as you use the Sundew as material. So that can be a starter as well, just depends on the hand. But Cobra is usually the play because it just gives you free access to instant fusion, ultra poly, super poly, branded fusion, or whatever fusion card you're using in the deck. So it's really nice. I've seen a couple people running the Lone Fires. I tried them, and maybe I just need to test with them a little bit more. I just didn't much care for them. I wanted to play a couple other things because there's just so many ways to start in this deck. It's kind of crazy. Test it out, see if you like it. If you do, then that's great. I just haven't put enough time in with the deck, I feel like, to fully decide whether or not Lone Fire is right. But going on to one of the new cards we do have, we have Predaplant Biblisp. I've been calling this Wasp because a lot of these names are just crazy to me. But this plus Scorpio is usually really good because it's just free. So anytime this is sent to the grave, doesn't matter how, you're able to add any Predaplant card, any Predaplant monster, sorry, any monster from the deck to your hand. And then if there's a monster on the field that has a Predator counter on it, you can just special summon it for free. And this gives you a free body to fusion summon with, or you can just use it as a free target to banish with your Mirror Jade. That way you can set up the Branded in red if you already have the Albaz in graveyard, which you can easily get to with either drawing it or just making the verte, sending the Branded fusion, and making it that way. This card also is just absolute free value with in combination with trap card that we're playing within the archetype Predaplanting. This just on your opponent's turn, you can send this to the grave with the trap as cost to put counters on all of their monsters, and then at res on a new chain, we're going to be searching for a starter. So you can search the Dew, or you can search any Predaplant monster you need. Really nice. And then we have 3 copies of one of the new cards as well. Another new card. These cards are broken. Predaplant Bufalacula. I've been calling this one Frog because he looks like a frog. So this one acts as a poly in the scale, and also it has a monster effect of whenever he is used for fusion material, you can add back 1 face-up Dark Pendulum monster from your extra deck back to your hand, except for himself. Him, in combination with the other card that we got in the set, Predaplant Triantis. This one is just a Mantis, so this card lets you use your scales as fusion materials. Basically, these 2 in scale make it so that you have these 2 monsters on field as monsters. And then you can fuse with them as if they were like monsters on the field. So you can scale both of these and then use the Frog's effect to fuse away both of these into the new level 5 or Starving Venom Rafflesia, whatever you need, and then you'll be able to start your chain links of this, adding this back. And then what this card actually does is it puts Predaplant counters or Predator counters on monsters up to the number of monsters you control. So if you have 2 monsters, you're putting 2 counters. You can put them on your own stuff, you can put them on your opponent's stuff. You can also just send this to the grave off of Branded Fusion and still get the effect, because it is not once per turn. And being able to add it back as well, and then with scaling it again, activating like Predaprime Fusion or Poly or Super Poly is just crazy. You just get so much free value out of it, and it's nice. I like it at 2. I've seen a lot of lists dropping it to 1. I like having the option of having 1 in rotation with the frog, and also having the backup just in case I do need to dump this off of the Branded Fusion for some reason. But yeah, I felt comfortable with 2. 2 felt really nice. Going on to another 2 of in the deck. This was at 3 before. I felt like this one felt better at 2. This is more of a piece you want to search out more than you want to like open it. Predaplant Climadosundu. Sundu. These names, man. So this one lets you actually fusion summon with this monster and a monster on the field or in the hand. And it treats all monsters with Predator counters on it as darks. And you can also use your opponent's cards that have Predator counters as fusion material. So once you've done the Predaplanting, this is actually a really cool card you can add. If you have a full established board that has a bunch of counters on it and it's all negated, you can add this off of the fly. Once it's sent to grave, they pass over to us. We can normal summon this, and then we can fuse off their stuff, break their board, go into Trifavertum or anything of that nature. And then Trifavertum will just be huge because we use Predaplanting and we put counters on our own stuff. So that's really good there. He's also a combo piece, like in certain lines, which is really nice. We might go over those in a separate video. But really neat card. Like, these cards are so neat. I love them. Then we have, of course, Predaplant Saraceniant. This card, whenever it leaves the field by battle or card effect, doesn't matter if it's the opponent or it's ours, we get to search the deck for any Predap card. So that means spell, trap, or monster. And this is usually the last piece that you're going to be summoning, because the level 5 can actually bring this out pretty easily. It can bring this out, or it can bring out Cobra, just depending on what we haven't had access to yet. And then this whenever this leaves the field, after we do a little cute line with Branded Fusion, we can actually just search the Predaplanting from the deck, and then that gives us the Mirror Jade, the Dragostapelia, plus the Predaplanting for their turn. So we have a targeting negate, we have a blanket negate with the Predaplanting, plus searching follow-up, and then we have the Banish live potentially with the Mirror Jade, or we have the Branded in Red set to be able to make the Chimera to then pop some cards and then fuse into whatever we need. So this card's really good. I like it at 1. Some lists don't play it, but I like the combo lines that it lets you do. Just really nice. Again, we'll probably show it in a separate video because I am kind of really hyped on this deck at the moment. And then, of course, the 1 brick. It's more of a soft brick in some cases. You can actually shuffle this back off of the Branded engine. So activate Branded, send Fallen of Albaz plus the Bilips. So you send this. Chainlink 1, you can discard this for the Lubellion. And then Chainlink 2 will be the Bilips to add like Scorpio or a Poly, like the frog. The Sundial, whatever we need. If we haven't used our normal summon, that's what we would be grabbing, or we'd be grabbing the scales. Then we can shuffle both of these back, get into the level 5, and just make the level 5 there. Keep the Albaz engraved, which is nice. And then we can just summon this back out with the level 5 fusion, because we can just tribute itself, or we can tribute the Lubellion to bring this out. And we can grab the Ultra Poly, make Dragostapelia, bring back the materials, and just keep playing from there. So it's a kind of a soft brick. It's not the best thing it's not what you want to see in your hand at all. But there are ways to play around it if you do draw it, which isn't bad. You can definitely play the second one. I've tried the second, playing 2. It felt alright, but still, at the end of the day, you have a Cobra in hand that's not doing anything, and it's a hard once per duel on his search. So that is it for the Predaplant monsters in the main deck. We're moving on to the spells now. I opted to play 2 copies of Predapractice. I'm kind of torn on this. Like, it's searchable, yes, but like this card plus Scorpio is just insane. Like I said, this plus Scorpio is essentially the same as Scorpio plus the Bilips in hand. You can activate Predapractice. Doesn't reveal or anything, so they don't know what you're going to special summon from your hand. So you can special summon the Scorpio, and Predapractice will add the Bilips, and then on a new chain, Scorpio, we can pitch the Bilips to summon the Cobra. Cobra will give us a search for the branded fusion, and then we can actually chain block with the Bilips to grab another monster from the deck. So that's really nice in that regards. Overall, I think Scorpio is probably your best card in the deck, besides like branded fusion or instant fusion. Just hard opening up one of the fusion cards you need to do like the full combo is really nice. And then just being able to grab the other one with Cobra, and then still grab everything else off of your other monsters is good. On to some of the other cards we play. We play one Predaprime Fusion. This kind of works as a pseudo super poly if you have two monsters on your field that you can fuse away. Mostly in that case, you're making Trifaverdum. Otherwise, this is just a way to make stuff mid-chain. So it's nice that there's like a targeting negate that they're trying to use. We can use it to dodge that. Branded Fusion, there's a cute little play where you can set up the Cerulean or however you say it. So you'll have that on field. You'll do the Branded Fusion, make Lubellion pitch a card, and then we'll have like Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 engrave, Chainlink 3. Use these away, make Dragostapelia, and then shuffle back the Lubellion and the Albaz to make the Dragostapelia for free. And then we can always add this back to on the following turn if we have like instant fusion, for example, or we have access to make just 2 Predaplants into a copy of the level 5 fusion. And yeah, that is the theory behind that. You only need the one, I feel like. One Predapruning, this could be Predaponics, but I've kind of gone back and forth between my reasoning with this, and the reason I like this one better is because it can just grab the fusions back as well and not negate their effects. So we can grab back the Rafflesia if we need to and banish a card, and then we can link it off, we can fuse it off, we can do whatever we want with it really. And then whenever it hits the grave, during the next standby phase, we're still getting another search, which is nice. The cons of this though is once you use it, you're not going to really try to add it back. So Predaponics might be better for that. And this one does target, so it just loses to Crow, for example. And I mean, the Predaponics also loses to Bell. So it just depends. It really just depends. But I just like the utility of being able to revive a Dragostapelia, the level 5 fusion, or the Rafflesia, or even the new Predaplant Starving Venom fusion monster, because it counts as a Predaplant monster. And then last Predaplant card we're playing in the main deck is Predaplanting. This card lets you send a Predaplant from the deck to the grave for cost, and then you put a Predaplant counter on all cards on all monsters on the field. If you have Dragostapelia up on the field, this basically becomes a trap version of Dark Ruler No More, essentially, while also giving you follow-up for the next turn. Also, whenever you fusion summon a dark monster, you can banish this from grave to pop another card. So Chimera plus this is usually really good, especially since Chimera is going to be chain blocked regardless. This will just be a little extra oomph that you can do. Also, both effects are not one of those scenarios where you have to wait a turn before you can activate the other effect. You can use both effects in the same turn, which I thought was really neat. Moving on to the Albaz side of things, we have 2 copies of Fallen of Albaz himself, and 1 copy of Golden Lord. Golden Lord could be pretty much any light monster of your choice. You have Golden Lord's a good option, not gonna lie. He definitely put in some work, being able to set a dead, right for Patchwork or something like that, and then summon this back and just have a 3500 beater was nice. But there's also a couple tech options that we can do if we need to go into Albion for some reason. And we still want to keep chain blocking and progress our plays forward. I'll put it right here on the screen or something like that. But it's like a Stay Sailor Romaine or something like that. It's a level 4 light plant that whenever it's sent to the grave by a card effect, you can send any plant from your deck to the grave. So Branded Fusion, send that plus Albaz, and then Albaz, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2, whatever. The Romaine. Send the Biblis. You'll grab another card, while still being able to banish cards to make another monster on the field, which is really nice. That's the thought process behind it anyway. In theory, it seems solid, but they just didn't come in the mail in time for the sneak peek, so we just chose the Golden Lord. Yeah, you have Golden Lord, Snow, whatever. You definitely fill up your grave enough to warrant playing Snow. Like, you have the fuel for it, but Golden Lord, it just felt better because it's an out to a lot of things. Just whatever you're feeling like, really. There's plenty of options. And then to go with the branded stuff, of course, 3 fusion. Buy 3 structures decks, and you're good to go, right? Crazy card. Easily one of your play starters. This alone plus a discard is just full combo. Gets you access into all of your Predaplant stuff as well. Going on to another branded card we play branded in red. Just your typical Chimera enabler type of thing. Gives you the ability to fusion summon on your opponent's turn. There's also this new trap that we got from the new set. Yeah, we got a copy of this. Branded Banishment. I think this was like branded Exile or Loss or something like that before. But it says target 1 Despia monster or 1 level 8 or higher fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Then you can apply this effect. You can fusion summon a level 8 or higher fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from either field. So you can grab this, and then you can bring back a Dragostapelia, you can bring back a Mirror Jade, you can bring back a Lubellion, you can bring back Albion, whatever you want really. And then you can just fuse away into whatever you want, which is nutty. I've seen a couple lists of Predaplants that were playing this. I think Branded in Red's still better just because it is a quick play spell, so we can activate it on our turn if we need to, which is nice. But yeah. This is definitely an option. It's from Dimension Force as well. You want to check that out, test it out. You're more than welcome to. I think it's really neat. I just don't know where I would fit it in this list particular. But that rounds up the branded side of the deck. Next, we have a couple supporting engines. We have 2 Edge Imp Chain. We're playing this, of course, because it's just absolutely free. 3 Patchwork. We play 2 Poly. Pretty standard ratio, honestly. For people who don't know, Chain, whenever he's sent to grave, once per turn, you can add a Fright for Patchwork or a Fright for card. And then Fright for Patchwork lets you add a Edge Imp monster and a Poly from the deck to the hand. Free card advantage, free Poly, free fuel to get into Chimera, and also just gives you access to Poly. You can also, it's a dark as well, so you know what that means. Let's go branded. Kidding. You can send this off of branded fusion to get your engine rolling. So send this, grab this, and then activate it. Grab these. Also just gives you an option to chain block if you've already burned through the Wasp. This engine right here felt really good in the deck. I really like having access to Poly, just in case, so I don't have to actually waste my monster searches within the Predaplants themselves for the fusion spells if I don't need to, or have to burn the pendulum fusion effect. Then we have some couple generic support cards. Super Poly, you gotta play Super Poly if you're playing a fusion deck. It is a fusion format. It's essentially, me and my buddy were talking, and it's essentially like Zoo format back in the day. It's just like, what's your favorite flavor of Zoo? But yeah, Super Poly, just being able to break boards, really nice. Then we have a couple 1-ups. Instant Fusion. This is just a 1-card starter for the deck. Summon out to level 5, get your engine rolling. 1 copy of Ultra Poly. This also is just a combo piece. You can probably cut this if you'd like to. I like the utility of it, but I could definitely see why you would want to cut this. Just play regular polymerization over it. And then we have Called by the Grave. That would wrap it up at 40. And that is what I played in the first tournament. I started testing with this afterwards, in between the tournaments, and we didn't actually get to play the second one because only 4 people stayed over. 6 people entered technically, but 2 of them dropped because they just wanted the packs to leave. So we just didn't get to play. So we did some free playing, just testing. But I took this inspiration from some of the Despia branded stuff that I've been seeing. I mean, we don't have a tragedy-like effect. The Fly only gets his effect whenever he's sent to grave. But McCourier, Lore, the Albion, the Shrouded Dragon, and the Branded Sword. So if you guys aren't familiar with this little engine, we'll just take an example right here. We'll go Allure of Darkness, we'll draw 2, and then we will banish the McCourier. The McCourier will gain its effect to add a copy of Albion. Albion mentions Fallen of Albaz. You can add Fallen of Albaz directly, or you can just grab a card that mentions it. You can grab this, you can grab Kit, whatever. But Albion effects will be able to send the Branded Sword to the grave, put him on himself on the bottom of the deck. We draw another card. And then Sword Effect can add back the Mercurier. Now, hopefully you don't draw like this, but just for an example, we started with 5 cards, of course. We went +2 for free. So the Allure of Darkness by itself just made us go +2, and we saw an additional 3 cards in the deck. So that's that. When it goes off, it goes off. If not, Allure just does help you dig a little bit deeper. You can banish multiples from your hand if you need to. Like if you drew 2 Cobras, not 2 Cobras, 2 Scorpios. Like if you drew 2 of this, you can safely like banish one of these. It's fine. Any of your 3 ofs, I'd be content with banishing at least one of them just to keep digging, looking for Super Poly or the Branded Fusion or just anything you need. That's the thought process behind it. It feels really good. That is the main deck. 48 cards if you include that. If you do not want to include the Mercurier and the lures and all that stuff, it's an easy swap out. Or if you don't want to do the patchwork stuff, it's pretty easy to put this stuff in. You just take out the patchwork stuff in one of the Predator practices and you're good to go for a 40 card list. But moving on to the side deck, pretty simple. 3 Cosmic, 2 Twin, 1 Reboot. I just take care of trap decks. Crossout. A couple crossout targets include Drawn Lockbird, Nibiru, Ash, and D-Barrier. Also in the mirror, this card becomes absolutely insane. You can cross out their Branded Fusion, their Branded in Red, anything like that. Their Patchwork if you want to, their Polys. It's crazy. Where everyone's playing basically the same engine, this card becomes absolutely insane. And also these cards just really hurt us the most, because this deck does overextend a lot. So Nib hurts us a lot. Sometimes the Ash, we have to stop the Ash. D-Barrier, we want to at least be able to play. Also, if you see the D-Barrier, it's kind of funny. And then the Droll and Lockbird, because the branded stuff, even the Despia build and the Predaplant stuff, it loses to Droll. Being drolled while you're trying to do stuff, unless you open up like godly, it is absolutely hard to play, establish anything that's meaningful, and not die the next turn. And then to wrap it up, we have, of course, Necrobolt Banshee. This is for your Tri-Brigade matchups, your Dragon Link matchups, and your Flu matchups, because it just stops them. It just absolutely stops them. It's soul-crushing to see. Branded Fusion, since this is the Dark, again, another Dark monster. So, Branded Fusion, send this, plus the Fallen of Albaz, make Libellion. This just gets you the free zombie world, and that just turns off all the Tri-Brigade stuff, because everything in grave and field becomes zombies. And if they're playing Rescue Cat, they can't tribute the Rescue Cat. Alright, and getting on to the extra deck, we'll try to be as quick as possible. We have our Predaplant Ambulomelitis. This one, whenever it's fusion summoned, you get to add any Predap card from your deck or graveyard. So this is the one we've been talking about the whole video, basically. Great card. It has the ability to also target a monster we control, or one monster that the opponent controls that has a Predator counter on it, and then attribute that card to summon another Predaplant from the deck. So you can be removal. It can also just facilitate some other wacky things. You can summon Cobra off of it. You can summon the Saraceniant from the deck to be able to grab another card. So this will probably grab the Fusion, then the Saraceniant grabs the Predaplanting. That's the thought process with that. You can shuffle one of these back with the like Libellion if you don't want to play both, like 2, but I feel like this card's just so good you need to play 2. 2 definitely comes up. It feels nice having 2. Double Dragostapelia. Dragostapelia is basically targeting negate, and also works really well with the field with the trap card that we search out. Originally I only had the 1 in, and I was playing like the Hex Seal and like the Mud Dragon. I just didn't like that, so I put it in the second Mirror Jade and the second Dragostapelia, and I did not miss the Dragoon. I feel like you don't need that for this deck. Same with like most Despia builds now. They're not even touching that side of things. But yeah, Dragostapelia is a targeting monster negate once per turn. It puts a counter on it, and then while this card's on the field, all monsters with a Predator counter have their effects negated that the opponent controls. So as you can probably put 2 and 2 together, this plus the trap card is just insane. You're getting follow-up, plus you're also just turning off basically everything for them. So I do like 2 copies of that. You can try different ratios or try different cards, but 2 felt good for me. 1 copy of Predaplant Chimera Rafflesia. This card's more of a super poly target than anything, but it can also be your fusion for making off of the Lubellion if you just have Branded Fusion. So you go Branded Fusion, discard a random card for the Lubellion. You'll send the Fallen of Albaz and the Bilips, and then you shuffle back the Bilips and the Fallen of Albaz to make this. Bilips will add you a copy of the Sundew. Normal summon the Sundew, and then we'll fuse these 2 away into a copy of this, which then this will go to search for the Predaprime fusion if we need it, or we can go ahead and grab the Predaplanting, and then we can go and we can use his effect, tribute the Lubellion, summon out Cobra, add like Super Poly, Ultra Poly, whatever. There's just plenty of lines that get you right into the Predaplant side of the deck, which I really like. But yeah, 1 Rafflesia just for utility. Also, the standby phase, after it's been sent to the grave, you get to add any fusion or poly card, which is crazy. So this plus Predaplanting and the Albion ad can get absolutely massive for card advantage, and just refilling your hand for the follow-up is great. Next up is Predaplant Tripavertum. Tripavertum is like a Solemn Warning type of card. Most people know this as a super poly target. 3 dark monsters on the field. You can make this with Predaprime Fusion pretty easily. You can also make this with your scales too, which is really nice. It gains the original attack of all monsters that have Preda counters on them, so you just load up your field, especially with the Mantis. He can also summon himself back if the opponent controls a monster with a Predator counter on it, so that's pretty neat. I feel like this is like the trinity of the deck if anyone plays heroes. I feel like that's more what this is deck. Otherwise, it's just a big bungus for everyone else, and it's also just a Solemn Warning for extra summons. Then the MVP, or the OG super poly target, Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. Just 2 dark monsters. They out it, nukes their board, and it just gets big too. Good card. This is actually one of the new ones. So this is Starving Venom Predapower Fusion Dragon. 1 dark fusion monster and 1 fusion monster, and it's always treated as a Predaplant card. So this can actually just be brought back with like Predapruning, for example, which is really neat. But once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you contribute 1 monster on either field with a Predator counter, and if you do, negate the activation. If this fusion summon card you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card, you can target 1 dark monster in your grave, special summon it. So he can summon himself back, he can summon back Mirror Jade, he can summon back anything, like Dragostapelia, Rafflesia, the dog dino thing. Like, it's really good. And also just being a super poly target, essentially, especially against the branded stuff. Kind of good, because, you know, Mirror Jade's a dark. Lubellion is a fusion monster. Chimera is a fusion monster, so yeah. Pretty easy to make. You can actually make them on your turn too. There's a line for that. This will be the last little bridging point between the 2 engines. Guardian Chimera, you can make this with the Predaplant stuff as well. And also the branded in red. So Chimera, if you don't know what this card does, it takes 3 monsters. So you use either 2 from the field, 1 from hand, or 2 from hand, 1 from field. And depending on that, however many are from field, you're going to get popped 2 cards, 1 card, and then draw the other amount. Also, it cannot be targeted if you have a poly engrave, which is nice with like the Fright for Patchworks, just being able to get the polys into rotation and actually using them or just pitching them. Yeah, and also you can chain block this too pretty easily in this deck. Onto the branded stuff, we have 1 copy of Lubellion, the Searing Dragon. This one is probably one of the ones I usually go for, just because generically just 2 dark monsters, essentially 2 dark monsters, Albaz and whatever you want, the Edge Imp or the Bilips in this deck. Really good. And then shuffling back the resources is nice. Yeah, just the 1 copy, just because you can usually just recycle him, and most of the time you will always be shuffling it back because you want the Jade. But there are some times where you just have to give it up. Especially if you need to be able to send the darks to be able to get your plays rolling. especially like with the one card like branded fusion thing, one card with a discard. Never missed the second one. We have 2 copies of Albion. This card's crazy. This is usually your fodder for the Mirror Jade, which is nice. It's also just takes a Fallen of Albaz plus a light monster. So for our case, in this build as it is right now, we are sending the Golden Lord, which then puts the Golden Lord in grave for us to be able to put an extra body on field. This plus whatever we make, and the Golden Lord is well over lethal. But yeah, if you don't know what this one does, so instead of shuffling things back like Lubellion does, this one actually banishes cards from field or graveyard to summon a monster, and it can also still attack the turn that it uses that effect. And then also during the end phase of the turn that this card was sent to the grave, you get to add or set 1 branded spell or trap from the deck. So branded in red, you can add branded fusion back, branded banishment, the trap card we showed a little bit ago. Like, this is also an option as well. You can grab branded sword if you want to like actually use it for its effect. We have 2 copies of Mirror Jade, just the boss monster of this little engine. Yeah, I feel like 2 Jade is really good because you can always go, if they out the 1 Jade, you can summon out Albion, discard a card, you can shuffle back a Jade or an Albion plus the Albaz, summon this back out. You're just trading this for this, and then you're getting at least 1 more use out of it. At least that's the thought process. You can also actually, if you have Mirror Jade on the field and you make Lubellion, you can use Lubellion's effect to send a card, and then you can use Predaprime Fusion to fuse these 2 away into the copy of this boy, or into a Dragostapelia, I guess. And then you can actually shuffle back the Albion or the Mirror Jade to then make another Mirror Jade, which is now live, and you have the Albion or the, probably grab the Albion off of that actually. But yeah, it's just something you can do with that. Having access to that quick play spell is absolutely huge. I love it, actually. There's so many cool things you can do with it. You're either going to plus off of it, or you're just going to get 2 bunguses on the field, which are hard to deal with. And if they deal with them, then they kind of just recard themselves, or they punish the opponent in some way. And then the last card is the Verte, because this deck is Predaplants. The only thing in the Predaplant engine that locks us into fusions is the Predapractice. And if we don't have to use that, Ultra Poly, make Dragostapelia, and then target the Dragostapelia with the Ultra Poly. Summon back the materials, link them off into the Verte. Verte effects and the branded fusion. I mean, you're down to 4K, but you have full setup with the planning, the Verte, and you're gonna have, you can actually set up the branded in red if you want to, if you hard drew it for some reason, because it happens so much. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the deck, guys. Alrighty, guys, and if you enjoyed this little deep dive into Predaplants and this deck profile, please let me know down below. I'm sorry this is as long as could be. If you stuck around, I appreciate you so much. Again, I'm so sorry for the lack of content here lately. I can do another video regarding that. It's just personal life and finally getting a job. It's just mostly what it is. Finally having a job after several months of just being unemployed and depressed. Yeah, just super busy. But yeah, guys, if you enjoy this content, please let me know down below. Appreciate every single one of you for watching. Until the next one, peace out.